Hello everybody, hello to all of you. Here is Filippo, Application Engineer Manager for the dental products in EMEA. Today we will see together how to unlock Accuware in order to have the access to all the resin parameters. And we will see together also some tricks and suggestions in order to add a third-party resin. Okay, so first of all, once open the software Accuware, we can click here and press the login. If you don't have an account, you can of course create a new account for free. Once created the account, you can simply type your email and your password in order to proceed with the login. Okay, I have done the login. As you can see, if I proceed into the resin parameters, into the material manager, now I can simply see few parameters in the material manager. In order to have the access to all the parameters and in order to create new resin profile, it is necessary to activate the engineer mode. In order to activate the engineer mode, once completed the login phase, we can simply click here, engineer mode activate. You can type some resin brand that you want to work on and submit the request. In few seconds, the material manager will be unlocked and the engineer mode will be completely available. So as you can see now, the list of the parameters that you can manage are a lot compared to the few parameters that was available before. In order to create a new resin profile, it is necessary to click on printer first and press add material, the add material button. Type the resin brand and the name of the material. The thickness that you want to use for that specific material. Of course, if you want to create a resin profile with different thickness, it is necessary to create separate the same material with a different thickness, because as you can imagine, the thickness affects directly the exposure time. I suggest to start with 50 micron in order to find easily the resin profile. So once created the new material, we can move in the material tab, select the new resin that we have created, the new resin brand that we have just created, and as you can see here we have the dental mod 91 with a thickness of 0.05. Means that we will work with that specific thickness. Okay, let me spend a few words about the parameters. So the first parameters that I would explain is related to the exposure time. As you can see, with Accuware we divided the exposure time, the parameter related to the exposure and to the print phase, in three different steps: enhanced layer, medium layer, and general layers. So let me open a picture in order to explain you as better as possible to what are related these three different parameters. Okay, the enhanced layer are related to the first layers in contact with the platform. So as you know, the print phase, as you can see, the platform moved up during the print phase, and as you can see, we print the object upside down. So for that reason, it's really important to be sure that the first layer are in contact with the platform. And for the first and the initial layer, we need to apply different parameters in order to be sure to have the best print result and to be sure that the layers are in contact with the platform, the metal platform. So as you can see, we can set here for how many layers we want to apply these parameters. In this case, just to be coherent with this picture, we can select five layers. So for the first 5 layer, we want to have to keep the projector on, the LED, the UV lamp on for 7 seconds. Of course, you can modify this parameter according to the resin that you are working on. The middle layer are the transition layer between the initial layer, the enhanced layer, and the rest of the model. The normal layers, the orange one, are the rest of the model. So in this case, we can set middle layers 6. So for the other 6 layer, so after the first 5, the layer number 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, the other 6 layer, for the other 6 layer, this parameter will be applied. So the projector will stay on for 4 seconds. And the general layer are related to the rest of the object. So from the layer number 12 till the complete phase, the complete of the print phase, this parameter will be applied. So the general layers are all the other layers that permit the printer to construct, to print the object. In general, the general layers need less time compared to the enhanced and to the medium layer. Once again, the enhanced layer are the most important because we want to be 100% sure that the resin will be perfectly sticked, will be perfectly in contact with the metal platform, with the metal print platform. So the medium layer are the transition between the enhanced and the general layer. Very important suggestion: all the time you print and you try new resin, but also all the time you print with the Shiny 3D printer, we strongly recommend to create the model base, the base where the support will be connected. For 2 reasons. This is for 2 reasons. The first reason is because when you go with your tool in order to remove what you have printed, the object will be not damaged, because sometimes it's necessary to put to use strong to use strong force to remove the object printed in contact with the platform. For that reason, we recommend all the time to create the base where the support will be connected. Okay, let me proceed spending a few words about the meaning of boundary exposure time and support exposure time. So the algorithm included in Accuware is able to recognize if the layer is related to support or boundary. Field exposure is the normal layer. So, but if the algorithm is recognizing that in that specific layer there are some support, according to the position, enhanced, medium, or general layer, is able to apply the exposure time that you defined. Okay, so in general, when I start to work with a new resin, I usually start from the parameters of another resin for the same purposes. Let me make a concrete example. If I'm working on new dental model resin, I will start from the parameters of another manufacturer, of another brand resin, but for dental model. If I need to find the parameter for a castable resin, I will start creating the new resin profile but starting from another castable resin of another manufacturer. Same for resin for temporary. So if I need to work on a resin for temporary, I will start from the parameters for a temporary crown resin of a different brand. Because of course, for example, for temporary, the exposure time usually it's more compared to the time of exposure of a resin for a dental model. So let me make a concrete example. If I should start to work on a new resin for castable, I can start, I don't know, for example, from the data, from the Keystone keycast, and I start modifying this parameter. At the end, I will save. I can change the name of the resin, or I can simply take a picture of this parameter and I can start copying these parameters in this way. So, as I said, the most important is the exposure time. So what I suggest is to start from the beginning with a specific exposure value for enhanced middle and general layer, and print small things, small cube for example, in order to see if the resin becomes hard. So once find the correct exposure time in order to get hard the resin, in order to print properly the resin, the second step is the accuracy. Related to the accuracy, I personally prefer to start a cube of 1 centimeter. You can go on different websites in order to find this STL. I personally prefer Thingiverse, for example. Cube 1 centimeter. Okay, here you can find different different file for test. So you can print 1 centimeter of cube, and once completed the print phase, you can measure that cube in order to see if the size of the object is smaller or bigger compared to what you expect. Of course, if the object is smaller, means that should be necessary to increase a little bit the exposure time. If the object is bigger, means that probably the exposure time is too much. It's not easy to find the correct balance between the exposure time and the size of the object. For that reason, once you are 100% sure that the resin becomes hard during the print phase, we have introduced in our software the possibility to measure and to know immediately what is the correct offset scale that the final user can set in order to obtain the file, the object of the dimension that you expect. In the open file, you can click on the gearing settings and click on accuracy calibration. Print calibration model. Sorry, I've already created the slides, by the way. Yeah, here by default the printer will import automatically these files. Okay, so as you can see on the object we have X and Y indication, means that with the caliber should be necessary to measure those objects and report the measure. So once you printed, of course, you can press here, calibration model print finished. And as you can see, it should be necessary to measure 3 times this object in the X dimension, so 1, 2, 3, and 3 times in Y dimension, 1, 2, and 3. Same for the other objects. So once you have filled this measure in this page. Okay, so once filled this form with the measure that you obtained with the caliber, the software automatically calculates the X and Y scale factor and the contour compensation. Okay, so these two values will be, if you press apply, will be automatically applied into the resin profile of that specific material. So in this case, this scale factor will be applied to the Filippo castable that I've just defined. So if I press apply, now the software is saving this scale value in the material manager. Filippo castable, so as you can see, X and Y are set according to the measure we find with the caliber and with, of course, the Excel table with the table that automatically adjusts these two values. This is perfect in order to save time in the search of the best accuracy. I suggest to perform this test 2 times in order to adjust as better as possible, in order to see if the adjustments are perfect or not. Okay, for the rest of the parameters, it's your experience. It's really important to know if the research of a new resin needs time and needs test. It's not possible to find the perfect resin profile in 1, 2, 3 tests. It's necessary to print 7, 8 times in order to find the correct resin parameters. Other few words about the different parameters. So as I said, the most important is the exposure time divided in enhanced, medium, and general. You can set the strong of the light. I recommend to keep high power for the enhanced layer and mid power for the medium and general layers. I suggest to set high power mode just when the exposure time is more than 8 seconds. So if the exposure time is more than 8 seconds, I suggest to switch in high. Otherwise, keep the mid power mode. Okay, wait time on top, wait time before exposure, it's simply the time that the printer wait before move on top, before exposure, when the plate is in the right position, it's in contact with the resin tank. You can set a specific value of time that the printer should wait before exposure. So most of these parameters are easy to know and to understand the meaning. So yeah, once again, what I recommend is to play with the exposure. You can play with the wait time if the resin is if the viscosity of the resin is so high. I suggest to decrease a little bit, to increase a little bit the wait time, and that's it. Yeah, as I said, once again, it's really important to get practice, and one of the most important things related to the research of the new resin is your experience. Not for this object, but especially for the dental model or for the dies, it's really important to check the thickness of the support. I spoke with different customers that was not able to print properly because the thickness of the support was too small. The support was too thin. So let me import a dental model just to make a clear example. We can delete. Okay. So in this case, we have two models. Let me pick the bottom plane of this file in order to print properly. Okay, I can also delete this one in order to have more space on the platform in order to explain you better what I would like to tell you. So, okay, so as I said, all the time that you print, except for accuracy calibration file, it's really important to add the support, because the base all the time it's overexposed. So please don't make measure in the first layers, because as I said, it's the first layer it's always overexposure in order to be sure that the layers it's perfectly stick to the platform. For that reason, the initial layer, the enhanced layer, are all the time overexposure, and it's okay. For that reason, all the time that you print and you want to have the perfect and the maximum of accuracy is necessary to lift, to add the base. For the support, of course, in order to print properly, a big full mouth and two dice, the support strategy must be different, because the weight of this big file, of this big mouth, it's more compared to the weight of the dice. Okay, so we can start creating the support. So of course, I can select together these two dice. 0.7 millimeter in the top diameter can be okay, can be a good value for these two dice. If I generate the supports, for sure, as you can see, the supports automatically will be placed also in this part of the object. So I personally don't want to have the support here. For that reason, I prefer to rotate a little bit the die in order to avoid the support in the part of the file when I want to have the maximum of the accuracy. So if you rotate the object, of course, the support will be automatically deleted. So let me select again these two files. 0.7 millimeter, as I said, is okay, because the weight of the file is, I mean, the weight of the object is not a lot, so I can confirm. Okay, it's fine from my point of view. So the support now are just in the lower part of the die, and it's okay for me. Okay, related to this big model, this big mouth, of course, if I print with a top diameter of 0.7 millimeter, the model will fall down during the print phase, because every layer is a little bit sticked to the fab film, and for that reason, a small force it's applied for every single layer, and for that reason it's important to increase a little bit the diameter, especially in the top part of the support, in order to avoid problem during the print phase. I recommend, from my experience, for that specific resin, I prefer to use 0.9 millimeter. In this case, it's possible to set reinforced support. You can also set the base type. Projection, it's perfect for the 99.9% of the cases. Okay, and this is the correct method in order to create the support. So two different values for the big model, bigger diameter in the top part of the support. For the dice, smaller support. I set it before 0.7. Now it's not possible to see the diameter because I set it before. So here the support are thinner compared to the support we have created and we have generated for the bigger model. As you know, it's possible to modify manually, to add, delete the support. The red area are the part where are necessary the support. So the software show you immediately and automatically the area where the support are necessary. And after that, we are ready to proceed with the slice and with the print phase. The last suggestion that I would share with you is related to the first layer, as you know, and as I said, it's the most important. So once generated the file, what I recommend, what I suggest to do is to check the first layer. So go to 0, press plus, and check if there is something in the first layer. Yes, we have this picture that will be replied in the projector or in the LCD monitor. So just to be sure that the first layer is present, and in order to be sure that the print phase will be correct start. Okay, in case of question, of course, feel free to write on our email, dental_support@shining3d.com. You can also find interesting and useful videos on our YouTube channel, Shining3D Dental. So this is our YouTube channel with webinar tutorials and so on. Okay, so thank you for your attention and see you in the next video. Bye.